My name is Dr. Miriam Williams with Purpose Over Position Consulting. I am a strategic leadership coach for businesses, nonprofits, and entrepreneurship. You can find me on social media under Purpose Over Position Consulting or contact me from 872 703 0253. Dr. Miriam Williams. I am the owner and CEO of Purpose Over Position Consulting. I specialize in helping businesses, nonprofits, entrepreneurs plan for success and then give them the strategies to help achieve that. My a little bit of background on my experience. Purpose Over Position Consulting was something that was birthed out of college. And that started I want to say about 9 years ago. I didn't know that it would be necessarily business, but I knew I wanted to go with business. I was working at my college and ended up doing a lot of coaching. I was actually hired as a tutor and ended up coaching most of the people that I worked with because if you've ever been in school or trying to do anything meaningful, personal lives, personal struggles, weaknesses, those things can get in the way of being successful. If you started a business and you personally aren't having the best day, how well is your business doing, right? And so some of those students couldn't even do well in class because they were personally going through some of the changes and transitions of being a college student. Adult educators, going back to school, 20s, however many years after, and coaching them actually made them successful. They came back with better grades, better mindsets, better results. They graduated, right? One of the ones I worked with personally, she came in with like a failing grade, came back maybe 2 weeks later and she was passing because we started coaching. And so it's been a part of who I am. When I was a kid in our treehouse, I was hosting meetings. And so it's been a part of it. So this is just the product of a lot of that personal strengths being able to bring that to fruition, right? Seeing it come full circle. And so that's where Purpose Over Position started. Now that I am graduated and just completed my degree last year in strategic leadership, I get to do coaching every day. It's the job I don't want to retire from. And so that's what I want to encourage other people to do through Purpose Over Position Consulting. Like many of you shared, is find that thing you love to do that you feel like you feel like it's a mission. I love that because that's what it feels like when you're doing what you love. The retirement plan is to do that until you can't do it anymore, or you find another way to do it so that it transitions to in life with you, right? And that's the cool part about business is it can be very versatile. And so I'm going to be your coach for today. And you can ask me some questions along the way. Although you can't see it, again, I am mission-based too. Ephesians 4:1 is a really big part of what motivates me to motivate other people. And you can't see it on the screen because it's a little bit tiny, but it says, therefore, I, the prisoner united with the Lord, beg you to lead a life worthy of the calling to which you have been called. I believe that the greatest position you can ever the greatest position you can ever have is the one you were born to fulfill. So whether it's doing insurance, running your own business, having a mission in a nonprofit, or auto shop, whatever it is, that's where you should be. And so our agenda for today we're going to cover is entrepreneurship, challenges, strategic planning, leadership strategy, and strategic marketing. So jumping right into challenges, a lot of these you'll find as you read them are actually not necessarily what you'll find if you Google what are the top 10, 20 challenges that an entrepreneur might have if they try to start a business. You'll find things about maybe they started too soon, they started too late, what they sell, nobody wants it, right? There's not a good market, not good advertising. You'll find a bunch of practical things, but these are really root causes to reasons why, from my clients, that I hear that they're either struggling to start a business or they're talking themselves out of starting a business or someone else is, okay? And these kind of go back to the story I told you a minute ago about college. The other make or break things that we deal with in their personal challenges. Okay? These are some of the things I've actually heard my clients say. They've had thoughts or fears of failing. For example, starting at the right time. I was listening to one of my client calls um, yesterday, and I remembered that she was actually talking about great business, great mission, very, very mission minded. But they were thinking about, well, I want to get started, and I have this money saved up, and I'm thinking about opening up a storefront, but I don't want to start, and then what if I go out of business, right? Like that won't look good. Here my sign goes up, my store goes up, and then it flops, right? And so they're afraid of failing, right? The thoughts of failing are actually talking about possibly starting. And maybe that's not the way she needed to start, but talking about it versus overthinking it or fearing it can help them actually start the right way, however that looks like. So thoughts and fears of failing, starting at the right time. No one, this is another thing the client said was, no one in my family ever pursued business. And so what that lets me know is they're thinking about, well, I'm the odd one out. No one else started a business. Her family may disagree, right? Well, maybe just do something else more practical, right? Don't start a business that's risky. And it is, but it's worth it if it's right, okay? No one in my family has started a business. Okay, so your family might be talking you out of it. What is it that you need to be doing? Okay, this is your life, not your family's. Not to say that they don't have good advice, but still. Feeling underqualified, things like competence and experience, right? And a lot of times your experience is what qualifies you for doing that business that you have. A lot of the people who share their stories with me, I'm like, what are you waiting for? Like you are, tell me your story literally just convinced me. Like, where do I buy? Where do I donate? Like, that needs to go on your website. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's your selling point. They are the woman, man for the job because their experience says so, right? So feeling underqualified, will people even believe me because I don't look like my goal yet? So when I was encouraging Mike consider business, I was saying this is how you can actually use what you're doing now in your experience to start a business. One of his concerns was, well, I'm encouraging people to do X, and I'm on my journey to X, but will they believe me because I don't look like I've made it there yet? I was like, well, one, your story, the seeing you do it is enough, okay? You're actually walking this out daily, so why wouldn't they believe you, right? And if you showed me your progress, how you even gotten here, I'm a believer now. I believe you, right? And you sound like you know what you're talking about, right? You're following this advice and you're getting these results, so why can't I, right? So sometimes we feel underqualified because we don't quite look like what we want to look like. But that doesn't mean you're not qualified, okay? So pay attention to that. Being taken seriously. Okay, that was actually something that I dealt with. Some of these aren't just, I mean, I thought about what if it doesn't work, you know, these are all personal, not for me, but these are from clients. Being taken seriously was actually something I had to go through as I was going through college and starting the business plan idea. You know, what if people don't take me seriously? What if they don't think I can be their consultant? I'm young, you know, so what if they think, well, I need a consultant who looks like they've done this for 40 years, you know? I'm sure they've got great advice too. I'm not putting that down, but it's like all those things, right? But I'm young and da da da. And it actually reminds me of personal things that people even in the Bible, if you use those case studies, they said the same things, but I'm young, but I can't speak, but they won't listen, but blah, blah, blah. Same stuff, right? We all deal with it no matter what century we were born into. And being taken seriously was one of mine. I actually, personal story, my prices were too low. I remember putting the service on there, putting a price tag on there and thinking, that feels comfortable. Whew, done it, right? I like that number. It makes me feel comfortable. I have no idea what my clients can or cannot pay for. So lesson number one, get out of their pocket. They'll let you know if they can't pay for it. And then you can decide, do I need to adjust that? Before that, you don't start negotiating. You are negotiating yourself out of paycheck. After I put it on the paper, and I thought, okay, that's good. I think that's about a decent price. I haven't checked the market. I don't know. And I promise you, this is my life, my story, the Lord told me they're not going to take you seriously. And I was like, got it, okay. Change the price. I felt nervous. I was like, someone's going to be like, oh my gosh, that's too much money, da 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 da. I'm talking myself out of it, trying to go back to where I started, where I felt comfortable. I left the price alone. I took the price up to what I felt like was, I had peace about that, and then I left it alone. I had a client, and I'll tell you, this client could have paid. It wasn't like a three-figure number. It was an hourly rate kind of thing, and it was for a service. Not to say that's it's not important, but anyways, they actually did not pay the price, and it was very surprising because I know this person. I see the way they live, and they're not loud about money, but it's obvious this person has money. Okay, it's not play around. We know what that looks like, and so it was fascinating to me. I was like, okay, my price is too high for that person. I would have never thought that. But they were like, oh, not interested. I was like, okay. And then another person, another client, different different range, right? Doesn't matter, same price. Doesn't matter if you book me or you book me, you're gonna get the same quality service, so why should the price change? Right? Unless there's a legit reason and that kind of is the way it needs to go, okay, that's understandable. And so the quality isn't changing, so why should the price? It's a good point. They actually didn't show up for the meeting. So booked it, and then I started adding no-show fees because I'm like, you're wasting my time now. But it makes sense because you're in business. People who know you, these were all people who knew me. People who know me have been some of the worst customers. And you'll hear that, whether it's family or friends. It's interesting, and that's where this other one comes from, setting good prices. I talked to an 18-year-old. I coach young people. I love it. And they're going into a business, doing some business before they start college. And they want to do baking and everything. So I'm giving them some strategies. Try this, try that. And set your prices, set them good, because they'll go down the street to Publix or whatever and spend this money. You're baking this from home, and you're putting your foot in it. Charge them. This is good stuff. Um, and then they were like, what is your family like? They want to make something for us. And I was like, we kind of like this stuff. And she was like, I'm going to bake you guys something. I said, what are your prices? But you guys are friends. I was like, is it going to taste any different? Well, no. Then why wouldn't you charge me? And so they had to get comfortable with, how do I charge family? How do I charge friends? I was like, you better charge them because they will take advantage of your good gifts if you let them. Okay? Whether you're cooking for me or the president, or, and this isn't exact words, I was like, it doesn't matter if you're cooking for your neighbor or your family or whatever, is the food still the same quality? And she was like, I get it. I was like, charge me. Tell me the number. And so treating people, paying them what they're worth, If it was you, how would you want it to go? Right? And then last but not least, those were the last two. Setting good prices and the automatic family friends discount. Don't do that. Unless you really feel like that's part of how you want to do your business, okay. But don't feel like it's automatic. Don't feel obligated because they know you or they're dropping hints that you got to give them a 50% discount. Not to say that it happened though. All right, is any of this ringing a bell? Okay, there we go. It's not advancing for me. Strategic planning. This was one of the most abstract things to me when I started to study strategic planning years ago. I don't know why, but it makes way more sense now that I work with people what strategic planning actually looks like. I think sometimes it can be considered not fun. When we think about business, think about strategic planning as your business plan. What are you going to do? What have you told people you're going to do? Right? What does your mission statement say you're going to do? And I like to tell, normally when I'm working with my customers, this starts with their story. Tell me about yourself. What are you doing? What's up? Why are you doing this? And they get into it and they tell me about where they're coming from. So your story normally lets you know, me know, and everyone else who hears about your business, sees about what you're doing online, everything. It lets them know your why. Why are you doing this? And then they get into the explanation. And I'll share a quick story with a recent client I had. We're building her website. And she's already told me what she wants to do. She works in education, sharp, great influencer, great woman, and she wants to be an education consultant. She's got years of experience in education. What did I say earlier? Qualifies her. She also she just received her PhD in education. She's going to teach teachers, right? She loves what she does. She's got a passion for it. I can see it. I used to work with her in another capacity. And so it's like, yeah, I can see you doing that. You'd be great at that. She's already doing it because of her professional experience. So why not go further and turn it into a business? You can leave the W-2 and start paying yourself, right? Or the traditional W-2 working for someone else. And so, she may go that direction. But as she's talking to me, haven't heard it yet. We're on about our third call getting her website together, and I finally hear her story. And I looked at her through the Zoom, and I was like, what? Why didn't you tell me this? I was like, my reaction was like, are you crazy? Like, this is awesome. Her story is exactly why she's doing what she's doing. When she was in school, she was literally told, I can't remember any exact words, but it was something really discouraging, like the only thing you're ever going to do is like get pregnant and never have a job or something like that. It was awful. They told it to her when she was a kid, and it hit her, right? And I'm just being real with you. This is what people will say. She's a kid. She heard that, and she thought, this is what's going to happen to me. I'm not going to amount to anything. So what do you think she thinks every day she goes to school? I'm not going to go to college because they told me I'm not going to make it in school. You're probably going to drop out, and this is going to happen. How do you tell that to the kid? But because she didn't, and because she persevered, and because her mother pushed her, and because she made it through college, and people encouraged her, and now she's graduated, I was like, this makes way more sense why your degree is so important to you graduating. I watched her persevere. We were both she started before I did in her doctoral program. And I finished, and then she came out, and it was just like exciting. When I heard her story, I was like, you're going to write that down, record yourself, what you just said. We're putting that on the website. I was like, this is amazing. Her story is incredible. I worked with another leader. Her story is incredible. I said, why isn't that on your website? People would be throwing money at your nonprofit if they knew who you are and what you have to offer. This is ridiculous. And so your story is a huge part of why you're doing what you're doing. You need that with your strategic plan, one, because it's going to help motivate you when things get tough, because they will. I read that 90% of businesses fail within the first 15 years, which sounds like a long time. That's a lot of time of perseverance, so you need your story to encourage you. You need your story to help you keep going, and it's going to give you a lot of direction. Whether it's a story of a lot of struggles or successes, it doesn't matter, you need it. So second, knowing you're in the right place leads to confidence in planning, okay? When we're really not sure that this is what I want to do, that this is really me, like you can tell when something is off, right? Whether you call it gut feeling, intuition, the Holy Spirit, with whatever it is, you can tell, all right? So when you have that unction, something's not right, that might be a good time to pause, to pray, to reflect, to do whatever it is you need to do to get in the right place. Because what stinks worse than starting, wasting time, money, someone else's time, someone else's money, all that effort and emotion, all that time, and then I don't want to be a doctor. I actually want to go over here. Was there any idea that maybe you didn't want to be a doctor 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago? Right? And now you're starting over. And that was me in college. I did not start college until I knew, because I was like, I'm not wasting all this time. Okay, so, but in the same way, we all have that way of knowing, is this really where I want to be? Is this really the job I want to be? I got my first job working in a fast food restaurant, and within the first year, I knew this is not what I want to do for the rest of my life. This isn't what I want to do for the rest of like my college life. So you will know whether it hits home and it's a sweet spot or it's a no-go. This is not me. And so knowing you're in the right place helps guide you into purpose and gives you vision, right? So that then you can plan. What problem are you solving? Learn how your niche solves people's needs. Okay, that makes impact. And that goes back to your story. What problem are you solving? Well, the lady who I talked with about education, she's going to teach teachers so that what she experienced is less likely to happen, right? You don't teach kids this way. You don't talk to kids this way. This is how you get empty classrooms, all right? You don't do that. If you have a child in school, you probably have a idea of why that's important. If you've ever been in school, you know that why that's important. And then, so going back to your story, a lot of these people's their stories tell me that's the problem you're solving. That's the community of people you're probably going to serve. You're fixing something. One of the clients I listened to, great business idea, doing therapy, but also a little bit of like maybe counseling therapy for through massage therapy. But they have a heart for veterans. She has a story. Her brother was a she's, I think, a veteran, but there's part of her story where her brother is tied into it, something he dealt with, really hit home. And I believe it was something on the lines of suicide. And so some of these people who are veterans or different people, they have a lot going on. They don't just need to feel good, they need to go home and continue to be well, right? So she wants to incorporate that. And I was like, you need to include that. That's huge. People know that you need it, you have heart, because look at your story. Look at what's motivating you. That's a lot of compassion, a lot of heart. And so what problem are you solving? That's going to compel you, right? Strategic planning. Leadership strategy. Really brief. Everybody is a leader, whether you think about it or not. And I'm going to tell you right up front, your leadership strategy is going to impact your reputation. All right? If you're a business owner, whether you're solo or you've got team members, your business strategy, your leadership strategy will either ruin your reputation or strengthen your reputation. What I mean by that is, as a person, we all have influence. We're leaders. We're communicating something with the way we carry ourselves, with the way we treat other people. When we communicate, are you who you say you are? Do you do what you say you're going to do? Is your business doing what the mission says it does? Why does your mission say this when you keep doing that? Your priorities are out of whack, right? You think you're lying to yourself. You're not really doing what you say you're going to do. So you got to get it together. And it has to do with things like character, right? The discipline we have to impress on ourselves to make sure that we're constantly being who we need to be as individuals, but also people can rely on us. They can trust our business. They can trust our service, especially if you're a service business, right? I'm a service business. Several of you are service businesses. If you can't deliver, I'm not paying. And I'm not coming back. And I'm not referring you to anybody. You're going to be out of business in no time, right? So, am I right or not? And that's not the point. I have to be right. But I'm telling you, right? Like, this is true, isn't it? Your leadership strategy is going to impact your reputation. Think about when you were in school. Did anybody who was untrustworthy or never did what they said they were going to do, did they get your time a lot? Did they get your attention a lot? Did you believe them? Did you call them for X, Y, and Z? Probably not. That college teacher, college student, advisor. I had a lot of college advisors. Had one that I realized in general you need to be able to defend and advocate yourself, but it was like I would have been paying for extra classes and things if I had trusted her 100%, right? Not to say that she's a bad person, but that let me know right then her reputation a little bit. Maybe some other stuff is going on and she's got a lot of students and give her the benefit of the doubt. You know, it's just it's okay. But if a person was constantly untrustworthy, constantly unreliable, their business is never who they say they are, right? You wouldn't buy into that. You wouldn't go into another Starbucks or Walmart or, I mean, think about the businesses that you've been to that you would feel like they have a little bit of a rough reputation in this area. Maybe it's their customer service. Maybe this is never like it's supposed to be, right? Or maybe their brand is constantly changing. You come in and you don't really know where you're at because it's just inconsistent. Their reputation is going down the river. And so it's huge. Your leadership strategy is tied to your business reputation. Who you say you are, your values and your mission. If that's on your website, it's got to be modeled in you as the leader and your team members. What I've learned from business is that the leader, the founder of the organization is normally what the organization kind of represents. Some of you said you're CEOs, right? So when I go and handle business, do business with you, it's like, it's not a factory I'm doing business with, it's a person. And that person's leadership is what I'm getting. The reason why you do business this way, the reason why you treat people this way, is because this is you. That's how you would treat them if we weren't doing business. And I like that because it's consistent. You're not happy-go-lucky at work and then a negative person at home or at the coffee shop or church or business or wherever it is. And so I want to do business with you. That's important. A consistent leadership image and message. That's your brand. Okay, I call it, I talk to my people, I say, this is your brand. This is you. And it's fun when you do it that way, right? It's not just the colors and the pictures and this and that. It's the story. It's the leadership. It's that heart behind it. That's your brand. And nobody can copy that. So get really good at it. Flow with it. Like stay with it. It's fun because it's you being you in your sweet spot. Who doesn't want to do that? Right? Nobody wants to be a facade or a copycat. Be you. That's way more fun and it's way more believable when it's time to sell it, whether it's a service or a product. And third, how your team manages customers should look like how you manage customers. So your leadership needs to be impressed in your organization. They will make or break your business for you. You'll leave. I know businesses, you see how one of them I worked at, and it's a major business all over. The operator comes in and they may do business and hang out for a while and then they leave. And the managers are in charge, right? And sometimes, I don't know, things are different when the operator leaves because when he comes, things get better. Work is like what the handbook says it's supposed to be. When he leaves, or when she leaves, is different. Or at night, when the other managers leave who are more do what you're supposed to do, things change, right? And so you may take this leader and this shifts because these folks, they're not consistent, and that stinks when you're at work and you have to deal with that, right? But that leadership impresses the customers. Why are all the customer negative reviews at night? Well, it's because the leadership reputation goes down at night, okay? So when are your customers most happy, right? When are things running really smoothly? There's got to be a difference in the way something's being handled. And I was a morning shift girl because everyone in the morning, they did what they were supposed to do. At night, it was a party, music, mess everywhere. I'm like, I can't do this. And I can't eat here. I gotta leave. So you get the idea. Your team needs to reflect what you're doing, or else they'll ruin your business for you. They're leaders too. If they have the capacity to do that much, you have to get on it, right? You're not building a business for nothing. So it's important. People are not going to buy from someone or some place with a bad reputation. You won't even do that. And you won't refer them. You won't go tell people about them. No word of mouth. In fact, what you tell them will be a part of what helps discourage their business customers, right? So they don't want that. Businesses don't want that. You wouldn't want that. Reputation is key when thinking about your leadership strategy. Your business culture is a reflection, excuse me for the title, your business culture is a reflection of again, excuse me, your business culture is a reflection of your leadership, who you are. Okay, I'll say it right there. So your business culture, you may not think, well, I'm not a Fortune 500 company. I don't have a lot of people. If I deal with you one-on-one, or if I walk into a building to deal with 5, 10 people, there's a culture that I'm being influenced by. That's impacted by the leadership. Okay, what I experience would be considered the culture. And when I'm talking to a person, a leader, the culture that you have is actually considered character. Okay, you have character, and that's in an organization we call it culture, but honestly, it's the character of the organization. It's what I deal with when I come inside in your house, in your business, right? It's a big deal. It's actually a deal breaker. And you've probably heard it said, culture eats strategy for breakfast. I think, yeah, because you may have a strategy that we're going to do this, and we're going to do this, and then I walk in, and then I walk out. culture told me different. I'm not a believer because you convinced me, right? You say this on your profile, but when I meet you, your character is a joke, right? You're a facade. And you don't want that as a business owner, but it's real life. It's real stuff. When it comes to reputation, real quick, think about reputation is key when thinking about your leadership strategy. So think about what do you want to be remembered for? Or what do you want to be remembered for as an individual? Okay? What do you want your business to be remembered for? If you were to go forward and think about the reviews that people will write about your business, right? What do you want them to remember your business for? How did you treat your customers? What was your specialty? What was your niche? Why did they choose you over other people? Right? I heard one person say, write your obituary. I don't like that one because that doesn't sound cool. I don't think sitting somewhere and writing your obituary is a very mentally sound, encouraging thing to do. I would say, think about what you want to be remembered for and do that now. Okay? Do whatever it is you need to do, discipline, structure, renew, restructure, so that you can start doing that now. So you can be remembered for it. Your business will be remembered for it. Think about what you remember other businesses for. Oh, I love going there because every time I go there, and then you fill in the blank. Okay, but think about you and your business instead. What do you want people to think about when they consider doing business with you? All right, reputation. It's your leadership strategy. When people do business with you, you want them to always have those positives. And even if you made a mistake, when they think about doing business with you, I remember that, but they were really good to fix the problem. And a lot of people aren't willing to do that because of pride. Okay? I call it a pride attack, not a heart attack. Pride attack will kill you. It'll kill your business. It'll do a lot of damage. We could go on and on, but it's a huge deal. Okay, strategic marketing. Marketing is huge. You got to talk about marketing if you're going to do business. One of my biggest things that I tell people, like I said, about the brand is you, right? You are the brand. You're the content too. When it comes to marketing, it's not hard. I actually had my college reached out to me before graduation. Maybe I won't tell the story yet. I know, I got it started. Y'all are probably like, what? So let me go through these first, and then I'll give you a story. All right? So be a thought leader. The reason why I say you are the content is because if you're a business owner and you're the only employee or you have multiple employees, you can talk really well about what you do, right? So be a thought leader, and if you like to write about it. I was speaking to a friend recently who is working a job, but they're interested, I didn't know this, but they're interested in becoming an HR consultant. And I was like, okay, you have a lot of stories about your business or what you're doing, write about it. Just sit down, pretend you're journaling, right? This customer came in and this happened and we dealt with this, write about it. Tell me what happened. You do it all the time when people ask you how it's working, Tell them, write it down. So be a thought leader. You can be a thought leader on LinkedIn. People love it. Post every day or however often you can. Be a thought leader. Show people that you know what you're talking about. That generates business. Okay? So whatever your medium is, if you're a blogger, if you blog on LinkedIn, I like to blog through Instagram. You can blog as a storyteller, be a storyteller with digital photography. The picture communication is what you're talking about. Maybe you've got a really good spin on doing something like that. I loved it, and so I did it. Right? Be a speaker. If you like talking, record yourself. Turn on the recorder, forget it's on, and just start talking about something. Take some snippets from it and create content. It's not hard. There's a lot of software out there for free that you can do that. Spend a little time every week. This is my work hour for building content. This is my day for getting things together. And it's not hard because if you like what you do, sometimes it's easy to talk about it, easy to write about it, speak about it. So just create some content. Maybe you do a photo shoot day, right? So you have some content for yourself. So be a thought leader, be a speaker, be a storyteller, and then pick a content day to start creating. And then pick your posting days. I like to say, create a strategy for that too. Maybe it's Motivational Monday. So every Monday, I'm looking forward to your motivational post. Maybe it's Thoughtful Thursday. And on Thursdays, I can come to your page and see another little nugget of how your experience and wisdom and insight is being communicated. People like that. It's like a program. You know, they do that on TV. They book into what they like. They'll find you. Okay? Talk about it Tuesday. Today we're going to talk about, and you tell them. Okay? So it makes it fun, it makes it easy, and it puts you on a schedule for your business that works. Okay? Because if you're not consistent, people aren't going to keep looking. They might. I do that sometimes. But if you're consistent, it's way better. So you kind of actually plan ahead of time, maybe 3 to 6 months of content, and then you start posting so you can keep it rolling. And if one a day is the best you can do, or excuse me, one a week, which is my routine right now, that's good enough. All right? You're there. You're showing up. So pick your media, whether it's LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, or all of them. That's not even all of them. Pick it and then start using it. No one can duplicate you and your vision for your business. So you being the content, you marketing it is going to be really fun, really unique. They don't have your unique mind, vision, or innovation for the call or mission that empowers you. So those stories you want to tell about, I worked with this client this week, and you got to hear about what happened. You got to hear about this impact. I'm buying, I'm supporting, I'm giving money because you're telling your story. Quick story. The storyteller one was me. Okay, college. I was not the kind of person who would just take a selfie. I thought it was a little self-absorbed. Even if I wanted to do it, it was like, I feel like people are staring at me or trying to like pose or whatever. It was just like, ugh, uncomfortable. And I did it anyway. I started telling my story about a graduate because, longer story, I won't tell it, but I was following my purpose in being in college, what I felt led and called to do. And so finishing up was just huge for me. I'm like, oh my gosh, the finish line is so near. And I started this countdown to graduation. I think it was on day 72 that I started it. And that was the only reason why I think I even got on Instagram. But I am telling my story every day. I'm like posting a picture. And I'm not even trying, but throughout my day, I would see something and I'm like, ooh, that's the picture, right? And so I'm posting the picture, and people start following and watching. My dad tells me one day, so and so said they really enjoy watching your posts every day. They wait to see what you're going to post. And I'm like, I'm just talking about how I'm going to graduate. It's exciting to me. I don't care if no one's watching. I like it. And so I'm posting it. And I'm getting more comfortable with the whole selfie thing. But I'm getting really good at telling this story and talking about how I'm almost there, this and that, and this is what happened this weekend. So it gets really cool. It's easy because I was there, right? So I can tell the story. And then my college reaches out to me closer to graduation, and they say, because I tagged them in the posts, and apparently they started watching too. Some of the college student groups started following me, and I was like, okay. They contacted me and said, we want you to be I can't remember the name, but they wanted me to be one of the social media ambassadors on the day of graduation. We're going to let you log into the college account, and we want you to take pictures and posts and, like, do your thing. I was like, cool. It's marketing for the school. It's fun for me because I'm still telling my story. And I'm like, they said, we're going to let you take over the page. That's what they kind of called it. And so that day I'm at graduation, and the nerves got a little different that way because I'm like, what if I post something stupid or no one likes it? Fear. Shut up. But I did it, and I posted, and another person took it over for the graduation that was happening later. But they picked me because of that. So people will start following, people will start watching. If you're good at telling your story, what you do, it's going to impact, right? And you can have fun with it, right? That was really cool. But from that, because of that, people have actually reached out to me and they're like, do you do marketing? You're really good at it. Your content on your page, the things I create with the graphics. My own teachers are like, did you create that flyer? And so you get good at it, right? But that's a part of the consistency. And so just to recap, We've talked about 4 things that are super important, whether you're in business or starting a business. All right? Your strategic planning. Oops, y'all can't see it. There we go. Entrepreneurship challenges a lot of times are personal. Many of the challenges that we experience are personal mindsets about how we think we will be perceived as a business owner. If left unaddressed, though, these mindsets can hinder our business from starting strong and with a clear image. Start with your why when it comes to strategic planning and what makes your approach a solution to other people's problems. Okay, why should we pick you over other people? Oftentimes we or someone we love personally experienced a problem that's compelling us. And we're trying to resolve that issue with our business or with our organization, our nonprofit, and that makes our impact stronger. It makes it way more believable. Your leadership strategy is a reflection of it's your brand, and it's your brand, and your business is a reflection and an extension of you. Okay, let me rephrase that. You are your brand, and your business is a reflection and extension of who you are. Your leadership communicates everything. And if you are consistent in values, message, action, and behavior, you can create a clear brand image and a culture unique to your leadership character and niche. And then lastly, strategic marketing. When you love what you do, marketing can get easier. Find your favorite or easiest media outlets to showcase your business and be consistent. Create a work day for creating content, whether it's writing, photo shoots, speaking, you name it. Okay, what you're good at. And then save that content for weekly posting. All right, some simple things to get started with. Thank you. And if you'd like to connect with me, the best way is with the information on the screen here. It'll take you to my website where you can find all of my social media handles and learn more about what I do. Thank you.